And this session is the future of AI in brand strategy. So CMOs, CCOs, brand leaders, most of you in the room today from global tech and innovation companies understand that where to place, go ahead. Where to place AI in your brand strategy is not an easy decision to make. So we have represented on the panel very large enterprise to Michele, who's an expert in the startup culture, connecting with corporate environments, and they'll talk about AI and brand strategy with a couple of questions that Rochelle will take us through today. So as we get mic'd, we'll get underway.
So I feel like since I come out of higher education, I might be able to use my teacher voice. Awesome. And so again, I'm Rochelle Ford, and I am the new CEO of the Page Society. And for those of you who don't know Page, it is a member organization, a global member organization that brings together corporate communications, chief communications officers, and other senior executives in the comms industry. So our agency partners, our educators, our executive search firms, our research firms. And our goal is to bring people together to build community and also ability to share thought leadership. And so we really appreciate Hotwire inviting us to come out today and to have this conversation about AI. And I'm super excited to have two colleagues here today. Michele Griffith is like me. We are 18 days into our roles. Her as a startup and coming out of Silicon Valley and being amazing at helping brands and tech innovators to go to market. So premier GTM, meaning go to market. You know, it's very important that we define acronyms. And so Michele Griffith, she's the founder and CEO. And again, she helps to accelerate the time for to establish value for startups in this space. And so she has 7 years with Anderson Horowitz in helping to build their go-to-market strategies. So Michele. And then also we have Stacey Jones, who is a member of Page, and she is the Chief Communication Officer at Honeywell. And I must say, I'm a recovering college president, and I feel like I had AI through Honeywell of all of our machines that operated our heating and air condition. And I loved it when AI worked and made my office cool in New Orleans. And very rarely did I have to ever make it hot. So thank you, Honeywell, for that automation on the way to being AI. And I also appreciate that you are an award-winning communicator. So thank you for joining us. And I guess we can either sit down, stand up. I might move around because there is no fire for this fireside chat. But if we all rub the papers that you have in your hands, maybe there will be a spark of electricity. So maybe we can start off and have a conversation about the opportunities for brands, for whether they're in the startup phase and they're getting investors, or if they are established brands, and to really think about how we can be ready for tomorrow. So our first question is, with all the unprecedented change that AI is bringing and will continue to bring, what do we do with this unprecedented speed? What are the opportunities for brand leaders? What do we have today in terms of opportunity? And what can we do to make our brands ready for consumers that are changing by the minute? Mm-hmm. So I don't know who wants to go first. A very simple question.
Yeah.
Okay.
Simple answers.
All right.
Be ready.
I'm ready.
It's coming. It's here. I would just share. So I've come into this whole space being really partnered with a lot of corporations, from B2C corporations, large retailers, large consumer brands, large travel companies, even on the technology side, working on the B2B side. I think the most exciting time that we've ever seen in tech is right now. When it comes to particularly the marketing and communications area. I mean, of course, CIOs and all of that, that's all good. But I feel like marketing right now there's a whole new advent for what's possible. And so, I think the speed is incredibly exciting. But for corporations, it'll be a little scary too. But I think there's a tremendous opportunity for experimentation that a lot of it's already happening. And a lot of experimentation is like moving very quickly into reality. So, I think a few cases were already cited, like Coca-Cola using AI for their, advertising, or, I think Nike is another one that's doing a lot with that. And I see it that with all the fashion houses, fashion brands. Um, a couple of areas that I think you can see real time, even experiment with yourselves, like on your own phones and on your own computers. And I'll name a few startups that are really creating new categories. When it comes to like personalization, been the name of the game, but like now how does somebody want to receive that communication? How does somebody want to receive that advertisement? There are a number of startups that can quickly understand the consumer through data online and be able to create that for a corporation to target in a way that's never been done before. Another area, of course, is content creation. Everybody's already starting with that, but not just content creation on the text side. Now it's image and video and everything else. I worked at Andreessen Horowitz for many years and had the great opportunity to work with so many different companies in the AI space because they were incredible early investors into that whole category. Companies like Luma AI, they're able to create a multimodal content creation platform that anybody can use. I mean, you can dream up anything and it creates it in video with words and with storylines and with, it's just like never been possible, but you can do it all yourself. So that's a company on the content creation side that I think is a really exciting one. And then last is conversational AI, which I think is a really important area for communications, obviously, and for marketing. A lot of companies, I worked with one called Rasa, which is basically any corporation can use it as an open source platform to design how they want to have a conversational experience with their customer. One of the biggest brands that use them, if you're a Chase customer, banking customer, if you interact with their app, that's the base of that is this company Rasa that does this. And to me, that like we still a little bit to get there, but once that code is cracked on creating that really personal, human-like experience on the conversational side, I think the game is over with that. I think it's a really exciting time. Lots of opportunity. I would say if I was a CMO, I would be so plugged in on all our CCO, plugged in on all the startups. There's so much opportunity out there that's being created that can be leveraged. And I see, I manage this team that worked with all these corporations around the world. The time is now. Understand what's out there and experiment.
All
So
right.
on to you.
Wow.
That's doing
And
it
I love
too.
our blend of experience
Yeah.
within disciplines and company size as well. But let me start first by saying, again, thank you to Hotwire and thank you to Paige. These are important discussions, right? And we can't have enough of them because what we'll talk about today and what we talk about in 6 months, it's going to go on and on. So I'll start with a bit of candor. Honeywell, we're on a journey right now. We have not cracked the code. We are trying hard. We make a lot of progress, but probably like many of you, it's a little bit of trial and error. And oh, by the way, dear team, this is something I want you to do on top of everything else you're doing. So I think as in-house communicators, it's a little scary, right? Because some folks think, well, if we get this right, it's going to take my job. And I would go back to where we started with till and efficiency. Absolutely not. If we get this right, you are going to have better balance in your job and be able to focus on the things you want. And I know that sounds a bit Pollyannish, but as I've gotten into this even personally, and I use AI every day to brainstorm, to help me check something, to help me think, and just that discipline of trying it, I think is where you start. And that's what I've encouraged all of our team to do, just getting out of the gate. But I'll move on to a bit of context where I started 18 months ago at Honeywell and where we are now. When I started, the team is smart, they're capable, they're fantastic, and they've already started doing analysis, right? And they said, well, this is where we think we are. And AI is not going to help us that much. Now, in many respects, they weren't wrong 18 months ago, and we didn't have the tool that we have now, which makes AI very different. So fast forward, 2 big events happened. Event number 1, which is a gift to any communicator. Our CEO said, North Star, everyone, we are focused on 3 things: automation, the energy transition, and the future of aviation. So yes, Honeywell does a lot of things. Thermostats, we all know them and love them. The reality is we're licensing a lot of that, and Honeywell is a company of acquisitions, and the modern Honeywell is certainly in smart buildings. And I will use that example and dine out for a long time, Rochelle, of how your building was smart and worked with you. But the three things that enabled us to focus on then brought a revolution in our messaging. And as we all know, brand, even before you get to AI, it has to be deeply rooted in very strong, very strategic messaging. So we went on that journey. At the same time, our wonderful CIO team said, we're going to partner with Microsoft and get this very bespoke internal tool that you can use, which will take a lot of the concerns you have away about safeguards, because of course you're not going to put a lot of communications content that is highly confidential out in the mainstream. So we got the messaging, we got the tool, and then we went on another journey to figure out how we can be more rigorous around at least questioning ourselves. And I will attribute this to Frank Shaw, not me, but everything in AI usage for communicators begins and ends with a human. So that is a principle that we have to maintain. And I know many of you probably do the same, just intuitively, but I don't have a poster. So till I'm a little embarrassed, but I do have a framework that we use, and it's called ATDP. And I can talk more about this later, but I'll just introduce it. Every time we do a campaign, AI helps with audience analysis and can drill down and give examples. Media targeting, I'm actually surprised because we know our media. We have found some really amazing things that reporters we would have missed, publications that we might have looked over with a lot of new media coming on the scene. Planning and messaging development, I know many of you probably do this. I use it on a regular basis just to brainstorm, checking, thinking, prompting, reprompting. How can I say this better, or how can it be criticized, right? And then probably a big, big area for us that we've also worked on rejuvenating is measurement and performance analysis. That gets me to the P. So ATDP, I'm going to go home and make a poster, but that's our framework that we started deploying. And do we get all four every time? Probably not, but it's a way to deploy the rigor of thinking and just testing and getting that muscle built, because it's not a muscle that many of us started our career with, and how can we try it and learn from each other along the way? So that's my opening salvo, and Michele, back to you.
Well, and I appreciate the ATDP, and you all remember that. I was told I was allowed to give a test. Is that accurate?
Solved something, but
Yeah.
work on
So audience analysis, media targeting, planning and messaging development, and measurement or performance analysis. Okay. So yeah, got that?
I should have.
There we go.
Use my own framework.
And there's other types of AI too. So, and when we think, so you're talking about your processing, you were talking about, delivering on the various types of values and the various types of startups that exist that you can partner with. You have a major brand in Microsoft that you work with. So there's a whole host of other startups that could help. But the future is here when we talk about AI, but then there's also, it's related to blockchain. It's related to 5G. It's related to augmented reality and virtual realities. It's the Internet of Things, LOT, wearables, smart speakers. See if I'm getting any. Is that enough? We could go on.
Keep the pulse on.
We can keep going on. But they're here, and they're undoubtedly changing the way that consumers feel and how they act and what they buy. So maybe we should take a step back then. And what are the key things that marketing and communication leaders should really consider when it comes to integrating AI? All right. So, what are the things that they should consider, and some of the other technologies that are making their way into our strategies? And so, I think the I'm going to fail the test. ATDP, that's why you take notes, helps to think through that process. But let's take that step back. And what are the things that we need to consider?
Yeah, I think first, branding why AI is important in the organization is important, because I think people get scared and say, is this a displacement opportunity? But really, it's a partnership. I feel like AI and humans are real partners in the future. And like you even shared that as it's really augmenting doing the things that people don't want to do anyway, right? It's like all the tasks that you really didn't want to perform. Now there's opportunities for AI to be that partnership for you to do it better, faster, smarter. And while that might lead to reduced things in the future workflows. I think right now it's really about the partnership opportunity. Second, I would say brand leaders, marketers, communication leaders. I think there's this new emerging concept, and I don't think it's just for the CIO, but it's around shadow. There was this topic called shadow IT. So seeing what IT was being used in the organization was like helpful to understanding, are we using things properly? Are we doing it properly? Now there's a lot of shadow AI. So using like these platforms, because not a lot of IT leaders or leaders in general can find these out because they're consumer platforms. Like I can use my credit card today and go use any of these new platforms and try them out. And so it's important for organizations to understand what that sprawl is, what people are using. And I don't think it's just for the what are they using? I think it's also for the why and how, And it's not about being big brothery, like, okay, they shouldn't be doing that, but it's more like understanding people's behavior as to why they're using these tools can actually empower the entire workforce to like understanding, okay, why is this department or this marketing team or this content creation team, what are they doing with these tools? And then using that information to say, could this be an opportunity across the organization? So I've been working with this company called Portal 26. They're really a shadow AI platform that can literally tell you real time, like if someone in the organization is using a generative AI tool, like you can get alerted as a CMO or as a CCO or as a strategy team to understand, what's happening and the why. Not again, big brothery. I mean, you can use it in that way, but I would recommend it's used in a way where it's like understanding the positive intent of why people want to adopt these tools. The third thing I would mention is data. I think this is a tremendous opportunity for marketing and communication leaders to have a tremendous partnership with the IT organization, the data teams, because everything is using data at the source when AI is going to be productive and effective. And so making sure that your data is governed and great so that your output is that much better, I think I've been working with so many companies across the board for many years. And there was this whole data conversation 7 years ago of like, okay, I need to get my data house in order. Now, fast forward, it's even more important because AI cannot be effective and impactful unless your data is good. And so now, any corporation that would come in to when I was at Andreessen Horowitz or even ones I'm working with today, it's like, okay, back to the data conversation. So I don't know if you see that as well.
Yeah, and in fact, I'm going to pick up kind of right where I knew we were a good partner.
Exactly. No,
so I'll start with maybe the not fun conversation of the IT organization is so central, and maybe you're thinking, well, if I just avoid them, I can get stuff done. So, funny story, maybe funny now. I was probably 2 weeks into my role. I thought, I'm here, there, and everywhere, and I need an AI transcription partner. I need to share it with the team and take notes. So I went out and bought one. Guess what happened 2 days later? Flag, I'm like, okay, I'm new. And I really was. I had no idea that you just couldn't go get an online tool, but now I do. So where I wish I started, but everyone's at a different maturity curve right now. The IT department, our team, getting with that team. And once you figure out your objectives, and this goes back to things you were pointing out, it shouldn't be the tool leading the objectives always. It should be the other way around. So just because I want to generate pictures for a report doesn't mean that one tool is going to solve it all, or that should drive my strategy because I found a new tool. Look, I've got a tool, everyone, let's go. And quite the opposite. You should have your strategy that you can then present to the IT team and then have them help you on the path to selection. You might have the answer already, but it's just so important to get, whether it's either a buying decision or a compatibility, data privacy. There's so many considerations that there's no reason as a communicator you would have the answer to. And that's why you want them to come to you when they have a media interview opportunity, and vice versa when you're going to make a technology investment. But that is really key to the whole process. And so a step beyond that, and I was going somewhere else with that because I got pulled into your very good line of thinking. But getting started with AI and figuring out where you are on the maturity curve. I'm sure many, if not all of you, work with agencies, right? And a great source of inspiration because they're seeing millions of clients, or at least hundreds. and you only see what's right in front of you. So having them bring you ideas and getting brainstorming sessions together, what's worked, what hasn't, that can really fast track a lot of your learning and just ideation as a group, because you've got your strategy. Now, where do you want to go with that? And I'll tell you a story, my learning this week, because every week's a learning, right? And we were making a brand video. And again, messaging is the heart of all this, right? You've got to have your messaging before you get to AI. But we made our corporate brand video, and we sweated over every word and really put our heart and soul into it, loved what came out. And then we went to each of our business groups, and they were getting their messaging aligned. And the head of one of the areas, Arrow actually, came up with this great video in 2 days. I'm full. How did you do that? And he said, oh, I can't take any credit. It's AI. It was fantastic. And it's a prototype. Will it need refinement? Yes. But the speed he was willing to, or able to work at, willing and able, was phenomenal. And because we had tight messaging and content, it really blew the lid off the speed and the scale. So I would encourage you to not only to look at ideas and vendors, but then look at building and cascading with AI once you have that firm messaging and once you have a strong core, even for your visuals or how that might be put together. But video is a huge opportunity area that can take so much longer.
Right, and it's here now. We can deploy it right now. Like I mentioned Luma, and there's a few others in the space. And I think this is where it's going to create cost efficiencies beyond belief, right? It's all of it, right? And yeah, speed to market. I mean, it can happen much more quickly than it ever could before. And the prompts, like I think you said, is like really understanding what you want to create and organizing your thoughts in that way to ensure that the AI has all the context is where humans can feel good that there's no displacement there yet in terms of you got to have that insight. So creatives are still very relevant and important to the process, because you're coming up with the prompt, again, taking away maybe some of the, like the time it would take to create all of that now, and maybe all the, busy work. that's now what's going to.
And I'll add, just extending that, I'll add one more place that you might want to look is financial communications. And you might think, well, okay, I get the messaging, I get, all of the basics, it's the same. But the other place I would look is your investor sites and who's visiting, how much time are they spending there. We recently undertook with one of our agencies a project to ensure that we knew both on our IR site and how that translated to, Mother Honeywell site, literally understanding what financial organizations, investors, countries, and you can get a weekly readout. It's fantastic, and it's not like you have to take action every week, but it does help add up to another component of understanding that will help in your overall IR strategy or financial communications area. So the way that you can morph this and apply it, it's almost endless. And the fun is we're learning along the way and hopefully sharing that with others.
Well, I appreciate the both of you sharing your perspectives on this very important topic of how we can really move on beyond efficiency and taking us on a journey of what that might look like, partnering with our IT teams, making sure that we continue to think about the data and the why and the strategies behind it, because it is a tool, but it doesn't leave humans out. Our creativity, our strategic thinking. As you heard the old adage, garbage in, you get what? Garbage out. And so we need to make sure that we all work collectively and we think about the ethics, we think about the biases, and we didn't get into that, but we're at time. But I think that those are conversations that we can continue to have throughout this week. So I thank you for partnering with us, with Paige and Honeywell, you're coming, and I'm so excited to see where your company goes. And if you need someone to help in this space, there's one here, Michele, to join us. So thank you again, everyone.
Thank you.